y'all, welcome to Criminally Creative, a channel about my various creative endeavors. Today is Saturday, August 3rd, and this is episode 65. My name is Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and on Instagram as Criminally Creative 1. That's the Arabic number 1. If you are new here, I appreciate you checking me out. If you are returning, I appreciate you coming back. I've got a lot to show you today. I've been running through projects a little bit more quickly than normal, so there's a lot to see. So I will jump relatively quickly into it. Get yourself something to drink, maybe some stitching or some knitting, and hopefully you will enjoy what you see. Hearsay, not a lot going on. It's been nice and quiet at work. I haven't had a lot going on in personal life, which has been nice. We have had a lot of rain. It's very hot. We've got more rain coming. Excuse me. There may be a hurricane hitting the Gulf that may give more rain sometime later next week to North Carolina. We've had so much rain, the ground is just staying wet, and that means trees are coming down. We had, I think it was last weekend, sometime, or one evening, no, actually it was one evening earlier this week. I was here in my craft room, and it was like dusk. I mean, there was still light outside, but it wasn't middle day. Anyway, all of a sudden I heard a big crack, and I went in the living room, told my husband, I think we just lost a tree in the backyard. And so we went back there, and actually it was not in our yard. It's in our neighbor's yard. It's right near the line, but it's our neighbor's yard. And actually one tree came down and took out two others. So there are 3 giant trees down, a pine, an oak, and I don't remember what the other one is. Fortunately, missed most of the stuff in his backyard. It's back in the back. We have about 2 acres and they do too. And so it's back at the wood line where there's not a lot of, stuff that could be harmed. If it had fallen a different way, it would have hit our shed. But the way it fell, it hit basically just other trees. And I think maybe took out one of his little solar lights that was at the very back of his patio area. But anyway, fortunately, no real damage, but we have a relatively wooded lot, and so that's always a danger. It prompted us to get on the ball and call the guy that takes down trees for us occasionally, because we have another tree close to our back deck that appears to be dying, that we won't remove. So he came out the other day to give us an estimate, and is going to come out and try to do that in the next couple weeks. We just had one removed a month or 2 ago that was like a double trunk but had a split in it, and it was also right next to the back deck. We have another giant oak right in front of our house, and it's really close to the house, and I love it, and I hate to tear it down. It's still alive, but it hangs over the house, and so I think we may eventually have that one taken down too, just for safety reasons. So anyway, enough about the trees and the rain and the heat, but that's really all there is for hearsay. So I will move on into the crafting. I don't seem to cough nearly as much till I start talking, and that's when all of a sudden the back of my throat gets clogged up. First up is verdicts, and I actually have 2 verdicts this time. They are both knitting verdicts. Both of them you've seen before in varying degrees. I should have put these on a sock blocker. Pardon my closeness. I'll put one of them on a sock blocker. I finished the pair of socks that I've been knitting on. I started these back in, I don't know, like March, I think. But, my socks tend to ride around my pocketbook and get worked on here and there. But I finished these. There are 2 of them. I'm just putting one on a sock blocker so you can see it better. These were knit out of a sock blank dyed by Gail's Art. I knit all my socks on US Zeros, which are 2mm needles. I do them toe up, 2 at a time. And normally I do the Fish Lips Kiss heel. This time I tried a new heel, which is called the What the Heel Roomy Short Row Heel by Ty Bueno, which has a little bit more, I don't know if you can see, there's like a little wedge here that gives a little more room in the heel. I have not worn these yet, so I don't know if I like that better than the typical Fish Lips Kiss heel I do, but I'm going to wear these sometime in the next week and see what I think, because as you'll see later, I've started another pair, and I need to decide before I get there what type of heel I want to do. So finally finished those. Sorry again for leaning forward, but if I don't put this back, if I can get my hand in the right place where it goes, it will end up getting buried. So I finished those. And then also I finished my first litmus cow for my oldest niece. The pattern is Litmus Cow by Jude Harper. It is available in Ravelry. I knit this with the US 4 3.5 millimeter. And I used a mini skein set from Robin's Promise in her Songbird base. The mini skein set is the red, gray, and black set. My oldest niece is transferring to NC State this year, and my middle niece will be a freshman at NC State. So they are both getting cows in this color. This is just the first one. And this is, you know, a long drapey cow that you can do up like that. These are the NC State colors if you're not a college fan or not aware of NC State. I am, most of my family is a tried and true Carolina fan. NC State is one of our biggest rivals, but, you know, it's still a good school. So I compromised and not compromised. I allowed myself to knit NC State colors. I'm not a huge fan of red generally, so I am, you won't see it today because I'm still winding the yarn for it. I've got two more. I've got another one just like this to make, and then I'm making one for my youngest niece in greens and yellows, which is her high school colors. I'm going to do the green and yellow one next to give me a break from the red. And then after that, I'll do the other one for my middle niece. And those will be for Christmas. They don't watch this, so I'm not posting pictures of those on Instagram because they will see my Instagram, but they don't watch these videos, so I'm not worried about them seeing it here. Anyway, so that's it for verdicts. Let's move on to court in session. Let's see. First up, I haven't done a ton on this since you last saw it. This is in a giant bag from the Fat Squirrel with granny squares on it. This is my corner to corner blanket. I don't have a pattern name for this because there's actually multiple versions of a similar pattern to this on Ravelry and online. Basically, it's a crocheted blanket where you're doing the same stitch over and over. You're crocheting it on the slant. So you started in the corner and you add one on each, and you go until it's as wide as you want, and then you go straight up. And so anyway, I'm crocheting this. I can't show you the whole thing, but you get the gist. I'm crocheting this out of scraps, scrap fingering weight yarn that I am holding double for like a DK weight blanket. And I just work on that periodically when I feel like it, and I've got the urge the last week or so to work on it a couple of nights, so I did add a little bit more to that. As I mentioned, I also started a new pair of socks. These are in a flying sock monkey bag from Silver Shed USA, who was on it. Etsy last I looked. I have not bought knitting bags in a while, so I am knitting these out of Lollipop yarn in her traditional base, which is a 75-25. As you can see, multi-stripe. Again, as I mentioned, I do my socks toe up 2 at a time on 2 circulars, US 0 2 millimeter needles, and I literally just started these last night at dinner, so I am not even finished increasing for the toe. So we were meeting some friends for dinner, and I worked from home yesterday afternoon. My husband called about 5 and said we're meeting at 6, and I realized that since I had finished that Litmus Cow and I had finished my socks last week, I had no knitting to take with me to the restaurant. So I quickly found a skein of yarn I wanted and started winding into 2 balls. Fortunately, I picked intentionally Lollipop because it is already comes wound as a big gobstopper similar to this, but I had to wind off part of it into another ball, so I'd have 2 balls to work from, which means I also have to rewind the rest of the ball so that the color stripes are going in the same order. This one actually comes with an extra color for heels, toes, and cuffs. I don't use it for toes or cuffs, but I will if I remember that it's in here, because that's the problem, is half the time I forget I have this and I just do stripes on the heel. But if I remember, I will use this for the heels. So that is it for the socks. And that's it for the Cord and Session knitting. Okay, it's early August, so let me give you my July stitching stats since July is over. In July, I stitched 18,628 stitches. Sorry, I've got to put glasses on to read this right. I stitched 29 of the 31 days, 83 hours. I stitched on 18 projects total. I began the month with 93 whips. I started 2 projects. I finished 1 project, and so I ended the month with 94 whips. I've kind of decided that 100 is what I don't really want to go over, but so we'll see. So anyway, let's show you what I worked on. First up is a stitch a day, and if you're new here, what I'll do is I will put a picture up of what the project will look like when it's finished, and then if it is a whip in progress already, not a new start, you will see also a picture of where it was the last time I showed it to you. Susan here. Unfortunately, a storm came through about the time I was done editing, and some of my before pictures were lost. So some of these projects that I'm getting ready to show you will not actually have pictures of the last time you saw the projects. So live and learn. Hopefully you enjoy seeing them anyway. Thanks. So first up is a Stitch a Day by Morning Glory Needleworks. This is in a Vicky Stitch and Button bag. This is a project that I work on every Sunday, and I do basically 7 days or 8. I do either 3 full blocks or 4 full blocks because it's a block, or the outside block is 1 day, the inside of the block is the second day. So every Sunday I either do 3 of these for 6 days or 4 of them for 8 days, so that because I can't do just the outside and leave the inside done. So this is where I am now. This is on 28 count Mystic Fabrics Lugana in the color Time Worn. Since you last saw it, I did 309 stitches, and I did a total of 898 in July. This is mostly specialty stitches. See if I can get it to where you can kind of see. I'm doing this with Sulky 12 weight, so it's 1 strand. It makes it a little tight on some of the specialty stitches in the border, but so there's a couple of places where I've actually kind of modified the stitch, but just because it's just not enough room to get in there with the sulky. But I'm enjoying that. It's you know, just a little bit of stitching every Sunday to do something a little bit different. So I started that January 7th of this year, and it's a paper chart, so I don't have a percentage of where I am. Next up is my second July Whip Go, which I had not finished the last time I showed it to you. It's in this bag by the bag maker whose name I'm sorry, I can never remember. And every time I've tried to find it, I think the last time I looked, I couldn't even figure it out. But this is Tree of Magic by Barbara Anna. It was sold exclusively as a kit through Nitka Moscow. I believe that you can now get this as a pattern only, either through Barbara Anna's site or Creative Poppy. I'm not sure which one. If you Google Tree of Magic, you might be able to find it. I saw on somebody else's floss tube, they said you could get it, but I have not looked myself. This was my July Whip Co. I did show you a little bit on it last time. I had done a couple hours. My Whip Go goals are 10 hours on each project. This is on 32 count Zweigart that came in the kit with the kit floss. And I started this May 1st of 2021. Since you last saw it, I have done 1,749 stitches. I did a total of 2,243 stitches in July, and I am currently at 60.7%. At first, when I was working on this, I was thinking, oh, I might just leave this out and finish it this year, because I was thinking that this was the last row. But no, there's a whole nother row under here. So it's not going to get finished this year. It might get a little more work this year if I get a chance to pull it out. But I'm already thinking about, oops, there's a stray bit of floss there. Already thinking about 2025 plans and how I'm going to do things to get through more projects, to get work on more projects, but also have some finishes. So it's always possible that that will be one that gets finished next year. Next up is my Mhill Kit, which is just in this little blue Q bag. This is Witch's Cauldron. I have not done a lot on this. I have been kind of slack on my Mhill Mondays the last couple months and not hitting every Monday. So I have worked on it one more time since I last showed you, and done another 106 stitches for a total of 212 stitches in July. I started this July 8th of this month. Of this year, rather. So I try to do Mhill Mondays and do at least 100 stitches on a Mhill every Monday. But like I said, I've gotten kind of slack on that the last couple months. So next up is in this bag by Creative Carol. I love this fabric. She had posted a bag with this fabric but vinyl front on her website, and I messaged her and said, hey, do you have any more of that fabric left, and can I have an all fabric bag? And this was last year sometime, and she said yes. So I just really loved the kind of blue gray trees. It's Christmassy, but it's wintry Christmassy. It's wintry too. It's not just Christmas. Anyway, in this bag, I wanted to do a little bit of Christmas in July stitching. So this is Santa Portraits by Carol Emmers. Excuse me. I got this out of, it's not The Gift of Stitching. It's one of the magazines that you can now buy, like basically the whole, like a disc of all the back issues. And I don't have written down which magazine that is. It's not The Gift of Stitching, but it's another one. Anyway, I've just started one of them. The one I've started is, if I can isolate it out, I'll put a picture here of this one that I've started. There's 4 of them. And this is on 32 count Zweigart flax. I started these December 10th of 2023. I did 561 stitches on this. He's kind of creepy looking right now because I've kind of outlined the skin around his eyes, but he doesn't have eyes yet. That whole hat and brim is pretty much done, and I've started working down on his face and beard and everything. As I said, I did 561 stitches on this. I am at 24.77% on this particular one. I've got them in markup, but I haven't set all of them up in markup as far as making sure there's not stitches that markup thinks should be done that are not, and that sort of stuff. So I only have the exact numbers on that one. If you watch Mama Loves You GB, she did all 4 of them, I think it was last year, and did them in like a window frame, like a window pane looking frame. I don't know if I'm going to do that exact finish, but if you want to see them all done, you can go back sometime last year to her videos. Okay, next up we had a Zoom once a month with Pam from Stitching in the Land of Good Enough on Fancy Folk. This is in this bag by Sherry So Sweet, patchwork on the front. This is Nightingale by Mirabilia. This was my birthday start last year in 2023. So I started October 6, 2023. I'm doing this on 32 count Under the Sea fabric in Sea Witch. Got to find the right way up. Whoops, and I dropped the whole thing. And that's the back. So I am doing, told you what fabric I'm doing this on. I worked on this one Thursday night for Fancy Folk Zoom. I did 566 stitches, and I am at 2.5%, and that's kind of the middle of the pattern, but it's like the part of her skirt. So this gray up here that looks like a door is actually her skirt kind of goes up, and that's like shadow where her skirt is up. And then I did, Anzac was my Long Dog Leap Year Start. It's in this bag by, I think this is Carrie Sews For You. Or is this, yes, Carrie Sews For You. This is Anzac, I think I said, by Long Dog Samplers. I started this February 29th of 2024. My goal is to do at least 600 stitches a month on it so that it will be finished by Leap Day 2028. I'm doing it on 40 count Lars fabric in the colorway Brain Fog. Sorry, itchy nose. And this is where I am. Let me fold it over one more so I can show you a little bit better where I worked. I did the baby koala on the big koala's back, and I did this kangaroo is most of what I did. I did realize when I got up here that because I was working the kangaroo like this, trying to do the floss a little different, I'm missing a row in here. So the head of my kangaroo is about 1 stitch short, but I just kind of spaced that little bird up there differently, and I'm gonna make it work. The bottom is where it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna make it work. I wasn't gonna rip all that out. So I am doing this with Silks For You. I forgot to write this down. Let me scroll down my list real quick. Silks For You, the main color, which is the blue, green, and gray, is PR 38. Charcoal, I can't get the charcoal to show. Charcoal, green, and blue. I'm also going to do portions of it just in this green variegated, and then there's a couple little spots where I'm going to do like a sun looking thing in yellow, and a couple of the obviously water spots in that blue. The green is PR 136. The blue is PR 123, and then the gold is a Be Stitch Me Guardian. So I'm liking how that's coming out. Excuse me. And then we get to what I've been doing for the past 8 days and have 9 more days to do. I am doing Stitch the Summer Olympics with the Naptime Stitcher on Instagram. If you want to see all the prompts, go to the Naptime Stitcher on Instagram, and she's got like a 1-page thing that you can see all the various prompts for the various days. She also has a link in her Etsy. She's got some free printables that you can do for Stitch the Summer Olympics, and she also has an Etsy that has printables for tracking your stitching and stuff generally, not just for Stitch the Summer Olympics. So I decided to do that, which means a project today. My goal on these projects is a minimum of 200 stitches on each one, but I'm really trying to hit at least 500 stitches on each one. which so far I've done. We'll see how it goes the next week. But, excuse me. So, I have not done today's, which is Saturday, but I have done the first 8 days. So, first up in this bag from Barefoot Needle Art is Huckleberry Farm. So, day one was either do a new start or something you started in 2024. I do have a couple of new starts available on my self-imposed guidelines for when I can start new things this year, but I didn't want to start anything new right now. I want to try to get through some more projects. So I chose Huckleberry Farm, which I started March 31st of this year. This is a pattern by the Blue Flower. I am doing it on 40 count fiber on a whim in the Kunzite colorway. And I did 844 stitches on this. I am currently at 10.4%. So I had started those mountains where the bear is, and I finished that whole little vignette there. So day two was, and I am paraphrasing these as to my own notes. You may want to go look at the full prompts to see. There may have been a little bit more information, but this is my summarization of each prompt. Day two is patriotic for any country. And I chose A Day for Freedom, which is a pattern I started in May for Mania this year. This is by Stitches by Ethel. I started this May 10th of this year. I'm doing it on 28 count Lugana. I think it's the colorway mushroom. I'm not sure. It's a Zweigart that I got at Stitch Point in Greensboro, and they had lost the label, or the label had fallen off or something. Anyway, I did 788 stitches on this. I finished that. I had just barely started the crow, so I finished the whole crow and I started the mouse. I had done the flag and the top half of the pole and that little red thing already. So I did the bottom half of the pole and the crow and the start of the mouse. And that is currently at 74.6%. This is a relatively small pattern, so I am leaving this out. And that's going to be my next stitch to a finish before I pick another one from my older whips, because it's got, I think, maybe another 500 or 600 stitches to do. One good session and I can pretty much finish that. Day three was stitch something related to summer. This is in this bag that I made. And this is Summer Quaker by Leela Studio, which everybody's doing. I am doing this on 40 count Barefoot Needle Arts Sea Mist. I started this August 1st of last year with the Hugo Stitcher in, I think the hashtag is Live in the Sunshine Sow. And I did 760 stitches on this. I did this motif, and I worked that green a little bit that way and a little bit that way. And I did this cloud, which is kind of hard to see. The white doesn't stand out super great, and the light blue that's outlining it is kind of the color of my fabric, but in the grand scheme of the pattern, I think I like that. So it's really almost just like this subtle cloud once you get the whole thing. So like I said, I did 760 stitches on this, and I'm at 6.5%. So I have Spring Quaker, and I have Autumn is as Joyful, which is the Autumn Quaker, also started. The Winter Quaker has not been released, although she has done at least one kind of hint on Instagram of her stitching on it. So I'm hoping that one is going to come out by the winter equinox this year. And I want to start that. And I'm thinking next year I may do sort of a, in some way next year, I think, if I've started Winter Quaker, all four of them are going to get worked on kind of in their season in some in some respect. I'm not sure exactly how much yet, but um, day 4 was the Olympic ring colors. Stitch something in at least one of the colors of the Olympic rings. This is in a bag by Cricklewood Crossing. It's one of the taller ones. I think that Dragonfly Lake is a Stars Hollow maybe reference. Gilmore Girls. I'm not sure. I've never watched Gilmore Girls, but I like dragonflies, so that's why I bought it. And it has a pretty dragonfly thing on it. This is September's Sapphires by Carolyn Manning. I started this January 6th of 23. I'm doing it on 32 count Blue Whisper. I think this is just as Zweigart, but it does not have a selvage edge because I'm not sure about that. I did not have, however I got it, it did not tell me a dyer. So that's where I am. I did 542 stitches and I'm currently at 9.4%. So there are some lighter colors up in there that are kind of hard to see right now because they're not surrounded yet by other colors, but they will show up better once some of the darker colors are around them. Day 5 was Stitch Something with Water. This is in another bag by Cricklewood Crossing. Has a George Washington thing. And see if I can get all this out of the way to show you. Oh, there's caught floss in my zipper. Oh, come on. There we go. Show you the inside has a embroidered Land of Liberty, which is why it's appropriate for my Lady of Liberty, which is by Twin Peaks Primitives. This is also a hashtag, which I didn't write down. If I can find it, I'll put it across the screen. Pam from Stitching. Just Keep Stitching. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name up for a second. I wanted to say Pam. There's Pam from Stitching in the Land of Good Enough, who I know a lot better than Pam from Just Keep Stitching, although I watch Pam and Stephanie, so the names just wouldn't come to me. Again, this is Lady Liberty. I'm doing this on 36 count Mystic Fabrics in the colorway Pearl. It may not show up. It's just the lightest bit of greenish, grayish green. I did 566 stitches. That white does show up pretty good in person. And I did them all down here in the body of the Statue of Liberty. I am currently at 51.5% on this, so I passed the halfway mark on this one. Next up is in this bag that I made, and the prompt was stitch something that has something round on it. So I chose Native American Hummingbird Maiden by Joan Elliott because it has that moon in the background. This is also Native American Hummingbird Maiden is what it is now called. You can get it on her website as she will mail it to you. It's not a digital download. And there is a mail version, and I can't remember what it's called now. They were originally in a book that I also have, and they were called, I think, Indian Hummingbird Maiden and Indian Warrior or something like that. But she has changed them to Native American. I think the other one's Native American Warrior. Anyway, I plan eventually to do both of them, and I have fabric and floss for both of them. But I started with the Maiden, and if if you've watched me for a while, you'll remember when I started this last year, I'd cut my fabric width wrong and gotten like across the top of it and had to restart it. So, but anyway, so this is where it is. I'm doing this on 28 count Atomic Ranch Vanilla Cream. I started this December 1st of 23. I did 582 stitches and I'm currently at 3.7%. So this time I worked a little bit more on this top border, but mostly what I did was her face and a little bit more of her hair and the little dream catcher that's kind of in the top of her hair. There is a lot of chronic and some beads on this. So like up around that whole moon that's in the back picture, that is all chronic. So that will not get done till I have a lot more of her body done, because I like to do, I will do chronic kind of as I go, but only when I've done the DMC floss around it first. Because the chronic, pulling the DMC floss up through holes that already have chronic in them, not only frays my DMC more, but it's just harder to get through. It's easier to get the chronic through a hole that has DMC in it, if that makes any sense. And tears up. It doesn't pull the whole length of the floss through. It just rubs against that little part that's in the hole. Hope that makes sense. And then, of course, I'll probably leave beads to last. Let's see. Day 7 was one of your oldest whips. So day 7 meant it was August 1st. And if you've not new, if you have, I can't talk. If you're a returning viewer, you know that I do have some projects that have monthly goals. And so while I'm trying with Summer Olympics to hit some projects that I haven't been touching, I also wanted to be sure at least that all my goal projects, my whip go projects and my 2 other like monthly goal projects, 3 other monthly goal projects, got at least one day of the Summer Olympics, so that I wasn't waiting until August 12th to start anything on them. So one of my oldest whips I chose, which is in this RBG bag by Lennox Stitch Creates. I chose Kingdom of Books, which is the full coverage piece that I'm doing 2,000 stitches a month on this year. And so this is, I'm working all right in here. This basically most of this book with a little bit over here, but I worked on this yesterday. This is on the kit 14 count Ada with kit floss and everything. I did 545 stitches and I'm currently at 37.6% on this. So like I said, 2,000 stitches a month is my goal on that. So I still have almost another 1,500 stitches to do this month, but at least I got a little bit of a start on it. Sorry, I've got to get the floss in here a certain way. And then yesterday was, I can't even read my handwriting without my glasses. Oh, stitch something with more than one person. And I have seen, my interpretation of that when I read it was a project that has more than one person in the pattern. I have also seen the interpretation of something you're stitching with more than one person, like a stitch along or something, which I think is a perfectly legitimate interpretation, but not the one I went with. This is in a bag that I made. And this is Haunted Library by Lola Crow. I started this as the stitch along, but obviously did not keep up. I started this in July 22nd of 2022. This is on 40 count Fortnite fiber in the colorway I Try. And I did 524 stitches and I'm currently at 41.1%. Mainly what I did is I have, sorry, you fold this over because we'll show you everything I had. I had a couple of books left in this bookshelf that needed to be finished, so I did those, and finished those threads out over here, some of the colors. And then I started here, and I've done most of this body of the headless person. I've still got a little bit up here. So most of it was done, a little bit there and books here. I did do that book there because I had some of that color left over. I've done a little bit in the shelf where I had color, the green stuff, but like I said, 524 stitches I did on that last night. So, and that is all of my stitching. There are 9 more days, counting today, left in Stitch the Summer Olympics. I am planning to try to keep up with that. I'm not going to run through all my projects now. You'll see them. It ends on August 11th, so the next time I record will be probably like the 17th or so, I'm guessing, and you'll see everything then. So on the docket is to finish Stitch the Summer Olympics. Like I said, I did include in my goals for that, I'm going to go ahead and touch One Nation one day. My 2 Whip Go calls for August are Snow Queen and a peacock, a unicorn, and a badger. And so I've got both of those slotted for one of those days. And I also have Halloween Quaker, which is my quarterly Halloween project I'm working on, slotted for one of those days. So, like I said, beginning of the month, so all my monthly goals are pretty much wide open, not finished yet. So I'll be working on those. Let's move on to stashing for retirement. Okay, stashing for retirement. A couple of just regular kind of club subscription things. I got the Be Stitch Me July fabric. I get 40 count in the neutral. This is coconut shell, which is the color of coconut shell. So kind of a darker neutral, but definitely a neutral. And then I also get Atomic Ranch fabric through Pam at Stitch New England, 40 count. And this July fabric was called Bayou, which actually is somewhat similar, although this is a little more yellowy brown, I guess. And then I am on auto ship for the Fabulous House series with Pam. So I got number 8, the Lighthouse. And I always get the fancy floss that comes with that one. I just saw today online number 9 that they've released a picture of, which is called the Floating House, which is kind of cute. Let's see. I bought some more floss drops from the Cottage Cat. Here, this is easier, doesn't have glare. On Etsy. The Cottage Cat Designs on Instagram. Oh, and I just noticed on YouTube the Potty Mouth Stitcher. I may have to check that out. I didn't realize, I had not noticed the YouTube thing. So she may have a floss tube. I'll need to check on that. She always, usually, or at least, this is my second time ordering from her, and she sends like a project bag tag. And then I ordered floss drops is what I ordered from her. I got a set of, there's a hole in this bag. This is my fault. I wasn't paying attention when I used scissors to open the bag, the shipping thing, and I accidentally snipped the corner of the bag. Fortunately, not floss drops. So this is a set of, like, I don't remember the names of all these. I didn't save the, these are just, oh, these are like Spooky Graveyard. So some of them are, you know, they're not all completely different, but there's a good mix of them. And I do, one of the things I do like is she posts in her listings, she pretty much shows like all the pictures that could be in there. I got these really cute, I'm going to try to take these all out of the bag to show you. So these really cute, like, fall animals. Like there's a raccoon, deer, bear, elephant, hedgehog, mouse. So, whoops. Oh, dropped one, sorry. She has a couple different sizes, as you can see. These are smaller. I'm not doing this very well. These are a little smaller than these. But I do like the fact that she has 2 holes on all of them. So you can have the full skein of floss and like your extra, or you could even do 2 skeins of floss on there, if that's what you want to do. And they're all in packs of 20. So I don't care if all my floss drops aren't matching. So these are, I can't remember what she called these, Crazy Cats or something, but they're like, I love that one. Yeah, so they're all like little cats and stuff. Sorry, I'm trying to keep these in the bags for now. And then this one, these are like cats dressed up. And I just thought they were hilarious, so anyway. Anyway, so that's the Cottage Cat. They're 20, like I said, they're also very, these are, you can't see, but they're like double cardstock. So, you can't really see the seam. Occasionally I can tell that there's another piece. Some of them actually I think may be a harder cardstock, and then some of them are double cardstock. So they are very sturdy. And I like them a lot. So, and then I placed a couple orders at 123 Stitch. So there are some Mhill Kits that I had, said, please let me know when they're back in stock. This is not one of them. This is one of the new Winter Holiday Cozy Cabin I just liked. This one I think was one that I put a reminder on. Yeah, because it's 2020. Painted pumpkins. This one is called Bewitching Pumpkin. Ghost Town Buttons and Beads. And Haunted Hotel Buttons and Beads. And then I ordered, so I wanted some of the Haunted Hotel, and I have Haunted Laboratory and Haunted, a couple other things. I want to do those as like pillows instead of things. So I ordered 14 count Ada in a black, a blue, and a tan. Just because like the perforated paper for this is like a navy. And for this one, it's like a brown. So, I will probably do some of my buttons and beads on the 14 count Ada so that I can then turn them into kind of like a pillow or a stand-up or something. I mean, I guess I could turn perforated paper into a stand-up, but... And then also from 123 Stitch, I ordered, I think this was on sale by Thistles. It's called Broom Keeps. And it's like 5 Halloween patterns: the cat, the pumpkins, the crow, spider, the witch's legs. And the crow one says Halloween, cats, witches, spiders. I'm not sure what the last one says. Broom, maybe? I can't tell from the little picture. And then somebody showed this on the floss tube, and I did not think to write down whose it was. I had never seen this one before. This is a Carriage House Samplings called Nature's Peace. Let's see if I can find a date on the back. 2020. And I just really liked it, but also we are taking a trip in September to Glacier, Yellowstone, and Grand Teton, and this is inspired by a road trip through the Rocky Mountains, so that might be my start for that trip. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. And then the other thing for Stashing for Retirement is a digital pattern that I bought. Ronnie Rowe Designs, he has a floss tube, which I'll link below. he does a lot of like pen and ink. He's done like a U.S. Capitol building. He's done a lot of Williamsburg. He does really, the artwork is, I can't describe it. Just go and look. He's got an Etsy site. Most of his patterns are only available in like hard copy. He does have a few in his Etsy that you can buy digital downloads of. And this is one that is available both digitally and hard copy. And it is a pattern called Help that he just finished, that he is doing as a fundraiser for an organization in his area in the Tidewater of Virginia that works with homeless and also works with, battered women who are homeless because they're escaping an abusive situation, homeless in general. It sounds like it has a lot of different programs that all deal with people who are housing insecure and other issues like that. So he is currently selling that pattern. I think through the end of October, all of the proceeds for that pattern are going as a donation to this organization. And that's basically everything he makes after the Etsy fees and the taxes, is my understanding from what he said. Excuse me. His most recent floss tube talks more about it and shows you a finished framed picture of it. And I really like the picture. So I purchased that, and I hopefully at some point in this I've been showing you a picture of what it looks like. I don't know when I'm going to start it. But I wanted to go ahead and get it while the money was going to the charitable organization. He has several other relatively recent patterns that I like. He's got one recently that was called the Red Bench that I really like. It is currently only available in hard copy, so I haven't ordered it yet. I'm kind of hoping that eventually he'll make it available digitally so I don't have to go through the hassle of scanning, but we'll see. Anyway, so that is it for Stashing for Retirement calendar. I leave Wednesday to drive to DC area for North Meets South, which is Thursday through Sunday in Arlington, Virginia. This is not a traditional retreat. It is a vendor type event. So if you are in the DC, Northern Virginia area, or you're going to be, or you just want a road trip for a few hours, you can show up one of those 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and buy a ticket there and shop for the day. I bought an ambassador pass, which allows me into like a stitching room, but I'm sure that there will be people stitching in the lobby. And if you go to North Meets South needleworkshowcase.com, that is the website, and you can buy tickets there ahead of time. My understanding is you can buy tickets at the door. And there's more information on that website about the whole event and the vendors that will be there. It is being hosted by Barefoot Needle Arts in Surfside Beach, South Carolina, which is the Myrtle Beach area, and Stitch New England in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. But they will both be vending, but there were also some other vendors that are there. So if you are coming to that and you see me, say hello. I didn't get my shit together to really get good table gifts put together, but I will have some floss drops. I have a few needle minders left with my logo on it, so my table mates will probably get those, but I may have a couple extra left. So if you see me and ask for one, you might get one. You'll get one if I have any left. If you ask me for it and I have one left, I'll give you one. I don't know how. I gotta go see how many of those I have left. There's something I ordered a couple years ago for StitchCon, and I just got a few left over. Excuse me. I will be at the Barefoot Needle Arts Retreat in October. And the only other thing, and then crafty wise, I'm going to SAF with my girlfriends later October and doing a weekend in Murrells Inlet with some crafty friends in early November. Then we are also going to Lake Lure for Labor Day weekend, and we've got our big trip out west later in September. So I'm going to be doing a lot of out and about and here and there over the next few months. So, that's about it for calendar. A couple people I wanted to shout out. I've been watching Flosstube while I stitch. And this is not everybody that I've watched. I'm trying to kind of each episode give you several of the floss tubers that I watch and kind of spread them out a bit. Sometimes I duplicate because I will tag somebody again because I've actually talked about something in their, in the course of the video. But here's some things that I've watched recently that I want to tell you about. So I just saw Red Cross Stitcher did a whip parade. So check that out. She is a fellow North Carolina stitcher that I have met at the Barefoot Needle Arts Retreat. Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, she is not too far from me. I met her also through the Barefoot Needle Arts Retreat. She missed a few weeks because she was moving, but she's kind of back on her schedule now. So the Floss Boss and Cousins did a whip parade recently that I just watched, and Enchanting Stitches did a whip parade recently that I just watched. And then Nancy, the Disorderly Stitcher, who I've definitely mentioned before, she just did a kit parade and showed everything that she's kitted up, and that has got me wanting to go through everything I've got kitted. And I don't know that I'm going to do a kit parade. If y'all would be interested in a kit parade, let me know. But I'm more thinking I want to go through, because I feel like there's some things I've got kitted up that I probably will look at and go, I like that pattern, but I'm not sure I'm going to start anytime soon. Let's put the supplies back in stash. As an example, the Lady Liberty that I showed you, when I started that, I also kitted up the 2 other patterns that came in that American trilogy. When you bought it from Twin Peaks Primitive, at least at the time, I don't know if you could only buy the trilogy or if you had the option. I bought the trilogy because there's 2 other patterns that are patriotic that kind of go with it. At the time, I kitted up and bought enough fabric for all 3. I bought the floss for all 3. At this point, I don't know that I'm going to do the other 2. I like the other 2, but Lady Liberty is the one that I really liked. And so with everything that I really want to stitch, those are just going to kind of go on the back burner. So that's one that I probably would de-kit the rest of the materials that I have set aside and put them back in the stash and make them available for other new starts. So, if I decide in the future I want to start one of those patterns, maybe it might not. My original thought was they would all 3 be on the same fabric. I'd frame them all together, but I don't know that I'm going to do that. So if I have to use different fabric at that point in time, it's all DMC floss. I can get it again. So, excuse me. Anyway, so I think that's about it. I'm pushing an hour, although I've got some prepping for stashing and retirement. I'll probably check it. Excuse me. Prepping for stashing and retirement that I will probably cut out. So hopefully I'll end up under an hour. Again, I will probably be back around August 17th-ish, whatever that weekend. If you're going to North Meet South next week, say hello. And I think that's about it. Hopefully, if it's raining where you are, you don't have any trees come down. Let's cross our fingers for no more trees down in our yard. And if you are down closer to the Gulf where they're predicting possibly a hurricane to hit in the next week or so, stay safe, evacuate, whatever you got to do to stay safe. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.